Welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would talk about all the books that I read in February. So this month I actually only managed to read 4 books because one, February is a shorter month, and also I was away in Amsterdam for 4 days. So if you want to see my vlogs of that, the links will be either somewhere or in the description or something. But yeah, so I didn't actually have that much time for reading this month compared to last month. However, the books I did read, all 4 of them were great, and 2 of them were actually a genre I wouldn't normally read. But I really enjoyed them, and I'm glad I tried something new. The first book I read this month is Lolita, which I've got this super old copy from the library. I think it's from like genuinely the 60s or something. Pages were falling out as I was reading it. But I've actually read this book before, back in, I don't know, probably about 5 years ago. And if you don't know, it's very controversial. It's about an older man who falls in love with a 15-year-old girl, and their relationship, just how it unfolds, the abuse that he puts her through, the manipulation that she uses back on him to get her own way. And it's a messed up book, but it's so beautifully written. It's actually been called a love letter to the English language, and I would 100% agree with that. Nabokov, I'm sure that's how you pronounce it, he's actually Russian, and English isn't his first language, which makes it even more amazing. And it's definitely an emotional book, but it's just one that you can't put down. The thing I loved about it as well is the unreliable narrator. So the older man is actually the one that's narrating the story, and because of this he's actually trying to make himself sound more innocent, obviously. The way he writes is just absolutely incredible, and at points you actually feel bad for him, but then you have to remember, like, he's the abuser in the relationship. So it's 100% worth a read. I don't like to give ratings, but honestly I'd probably give this a 10. The second book I read is The Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson, and this is actually recommended by my favourite booktuber, Murphy Napier. She made a whole video about it, and fantasy isn't really something I would normally read. Obviously, like I talked to my childhood favourite books, like I read Harry Potter and stuff, but other than that, it's never something I've really thought about. However, I'm so glad I read this. It's much longer than previous books I've read. Normally I read books that are at 200, 300 pages. This one was just over 600, so it took me a little bit longer to get through. However, it's really a great book. The world is so, like, you can picture it so clearly. All the characters, the main crew, Vin, Kelsier, all of them, Breeze, they're all just people that are flawed, but they are also just trying to do their best. And it didn't feel unrealistic in a way, especially the magic. The magic in this book is all about metals, and the people that can use magic have to basically eat metal flakes to gain power. And it genuinely does feel like realistic. Like, obviously it's not, but it's got set rules and it never breaks the rules. And it's honestly just something I'm really glad I read, because if it wasn't for BookTube, I would never have ever found out about this book. I'd never heard of Brandon Sanderson before, but I'm definitely glad that I read this month is Lord of the Flies by William Golding, and this is obviously a very famous book as well, just like Lolita. And I decided to read it because I needed something a bit shorter just before I dove into the next Mistborn book. And this book is actually heartbreaking at points. It's one of the saddest books I think I've read so far this year. It follows a group of boys who have been stranded on an island with no adults. I think they came down a plane crash, and it's just, at first they're working together, they're doing the best they can, but slowly chaos just descends, and by the end of the book it's just, most of the boys are turned into absolute savages, and it's actually really sad to read. Some of the things that goes on in it is so messed up and so sad. The main character, oh my god, I forgot his name. Ralph, sorry. The main character, Ralph, is the only one by the end who is trying to keep things calm and keep everyone together. And it's such an amazing book. It's really short, it's really easy to read. which is good because some of these classics, even the shorter ones, they are harder to read, but this is written for not a younger audience, but it's definitely accessible. So that's why I love this book, because I've never felt so emotional this year reading a book. Last book I read this month was The Well of Ascension, which is the second Mistborn book, and this one's even longer than the first. It's 800 pages, so I took this one like to Amsterdam with me, and I only just finished it 2 nights ago. It's just as good as the first one, honestly. When Murphy, the booktuber that recommended it, was talking about it, she said that some people think this book is much slower than the first and not much happens, but I really disagree. So much happened in this book. I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want to spoil anything from the first one or from this one, but it's definitely just as good as the first one. If anything, I maybe enjoyed it even more because by this point the characters are developed, you're more connected to them, so everything that happens to them, you just feel it even more. And I'm definitely excited to read the third one, which I'm going to start tomorrow, probably. Obviously it was a bit of a shorter wrap up this month, but hopefully next month I'll be able to read a lot more. I'm actually halfway through Flowers for Algernon, however I don't want to talk about it until I've finished it, so I'll talk about it in next month's video. But yeah, if you have any suggestions for books you think I should read, please leave them down below. Obviously I do mostly read classics, however after reading so many in a row, the Mistborn books were such a breath of fresh air. I forgot how easy reading could sometimes be, because especially when I was reading like Wuthering Heights, all those books last month, I forgot reading genuinely can be easy for a while, because some of those books are so complex to read, you have to really focus on the language. However, I'm really looking forward to branching out and trying some new genres. I'm so glad I went into the fantasy genre and gave that a shot. So any suggestions, leave them down below, and also let me know what books you've read this month. As always, all my Instagram and stuff's below. Please check out my other videos, especially my Amsterdam vlogs, and I'll see you later.